So, howdy. Hey, Dragon.
Yo,
So, Yoparai is reading the. Can you say the name of the scroll again?
the Chronicles of Gyoxys.
Okay, thank you. The bot's not needed for this. However, I do recommend having it just for the sake that I found it. And if you wanna reward my work, my lovely effort, go ahead.
I never mute.
You, you make me happy. So, Yobrai is taking the time to rest and read the Chronicles of Gyoxys. Um, as said prior, the individual who wrote this, you can very clearly tell. It's maybe not apparent as you're reading it, but like it's not apparent like from the first like paragraph or two, but as you get into it, you can kind of pick up on the notion that this person is not Gyoxys, but they are telling the story from their point of view. Um, However, they reference such specific things at times that it's like they likely knew Gyoxys. So there are probably details in this that are not fully accurate, but it's safe to assume a good portion of this is. Now, beginning with this, there's a lot of flowery language, a lot of talks about the sea, quotes involving quotes or small bits of almost poetry involving the ocean and its vastness. Speaking about the depths of the ocean and how life persists, even with how almost desolate it seems, that life finds a way, and from small creatures to larger ones, and there are illustrations in the scroll. Beautiful illustrations that had to have been done by a master painter, somebody who really took their craft seriously. And looking at this as an artist yourself, um, it is honestly a little inspiring to see this, because like as something that maybe you can't do precisely this, but maybe you could. And as you look at these illustrations, you see what almost looks like underwater volcanoes. You see as creatures that you've never even heard of before, and ones that look honestly about as alien as some of the legitimate, well, aberrations you've seen, and others that almost seem too large to really truly say that they exist, but in a world like ours, I mean, it's very possible something like that could be down there. But you also have this bit that talks about the surface, as there's another illustration that depicts a creature coming out of the water and looking at the sky. as we get our first glimpse at Gyoxys.
Ooh.
Gyoxys looks up at the sky and muses about rain and how they've heard sailors talk about rain pounding and beating them down. They've gone to shore and heard people talk about how rain is like the sky crying, but how they always saw rain as the sky saying hello to the ocean. And this connection, this water feeding the ocean and the ocean giving water to the sky so the world can live, it is just proof that water is the ultimate source of life. And they would have it no other way. And there's a bit of like almost like a snarky tone how it's written. But there is this humble kind of appreciation as it continues to detail Gyoxys moving from the plane of water, where they never felt at home because the sky there, it's sometimes glorious and other times it's angry. Fire rains from the sky. Sometimes the very wind cuts. The waters are sometimes cold and hot, depending on the ever-changing landscape of the elemental constellations, and how you could live your entire life on one floating planet, gaseous body, however you want to look at it. Or it could all be destroyed in a moment. And that chaos, that convergence of elements just never made them feel at home, and they could never find their way to the bastions of water that felt like they gave life. And so when they found themselves here, some almost 13,000? No. It would be... When they found themselves here, yeah, 10,000 years ago, this place was new. People had come, they had taken their technology, they had taken their lives, their knowledge, and they watched, and Gyoxys watched them from the distance build civilizations. Fascinated. They could only ever watch, imagining what it must be like to live such a beautiful existence, knowing how soon your death will come, knowing that life was a gift given to you. and to fight against everything that wishes you dead, and to defy it on a daily basis, and to choose to build. Gyoxys watched these settlers build, well, like I said before, entire civilizations, great cities. They watched a druid and a geomancer meld the divide between nature and normal civilization, building this city that naturally almost floods and the water recedes as the tide comes in and out. The water races live in some parts of the city when the tide is low, and when the tide is high, they come into some of the other parts of the city. They were fascinated by the ingenuity of people to seek such harmony in their everyday life. They also saw battles that took place above the planet as great ships flew to the stars. They watched as ships did battle on the water. And while war was nothing new to them, as the elements warred all the time, it was just a different form of survival, of conquering to have more of what's yours, just as the elements always did. They fought one another for dominance. Harmony was something that always seemed hard to find. They hadn't realized how similar people are to the elements, even if the way they live is completely different and what they desire are nothing alike. It was odd to see this similarity in how they destroyed one another for what they desired, and to grow ever stronger. But Gyoxys would always, in any of these battles, there would be people that they saved, those who they could, without them knowing. But there was a great battle, a war that they had heard of happening on land. They were always drawn to such events because they could help. They could save some. But it was happening inland. There was nothing that they could do. They always looked at the sirens with their ability to fly, the mermaids, who some of the ones who were blessed have the ability to walk. And some of those sea-dwelling races who were gifted with such power that they could both not only walk, but even almost survive at the same places that she could. She always felt jealous of these people. These individuals who could go wherever they wished, truly land and sea, and even head to the stars, if they so wished. Gyoxys couldn't help everyone. But what they could do is stay near this land where this war was happening and listen, observe, and help where they could. And Gyoxys would not stay hidden always. She would make friends. She made friends with so many. And she was even worshipped by others who believed her to be a god. To not hurt these people's belief, she played the role sometimes and would save who she could. And who she couldn't, or if she could not provide them with something, she would, at the very least, allow them to have some peace in her waters. But when this war took place, the skies, there was a massive, almost hole in the sky that spread across. She could feel the magic as it crashed into the water. She watched as a creature, as it plummeted from the sky above. It landed in the water. And shortly after, a great storm started to arise. And an island would lift from the waves. This storm would only rage and grow larger and larger. And it's a place even she dare not tread. She could feel the immense power of what was both above and below. There was never any chance that she could go unnoticed, traveling through those waters. But as this happened, people started leaving in droves. Caravans, ships, they all tried to leave. But there was only a short amount of time that they could leave every year. And every year, Gyoxys would try to save them. Those who couldn't make it, those who drowned. But the magical storms that had begun to rise around the edge of this strange land were too much for her. They would make her a magical creature who's very sensitive to powerful magic, sick. Even with all the magic she possessed, she had no way to expel it, no way to protect herself, and so she could never save all of them. She began to try to find ways inland. In a dry land, there was a distortion of magic. Magic from the very planets that she had grown to love. It had been wounded, and a scar laid beneath the land, taking this lush and beautiful grassland and turning it into a inhospitable desert. Rapidly, the environment changed over a short time. She could only go so far, and only during certain times of the year. But she went. She made the journey and tried to ask a powerful druid for aid. But this druid, they could not help her, and warned her that these lands were under a powerful protection. That magic on the scale that had seldom been seen had happened, and that things were not right. Powers beyond them had intervened, and that this goes against the natural order. She thanked the druid and swam up further. She swam as far as she could and took refuge in a small cove. Where she was greeted by a beautiful, beautiful woman. She had glasses and a magnificent presence. And this woman asked her why she was crying. And it's because for the first time in her life, she didn't feel at home. Not in the place she once called home. She had felt lonely. She never felt at home among the elemental constellations, but she never longed for any company, because she can always go and see more, experience more, help others, or simply exist, living day by day, enjoying the world for what it had to offer. But the darkness that had come over these lands had made her sad. This beautiful woman asked her a question, and whilst it's not said what the question was, it was one that made her think. And when she answered it, she knew that where she had to go was somewhere that might have more people. People who could be, who might be able to just help her not be lonely. She thanked this beautiful woman and left for this place where she found a jungle with a river snaking through it. Yet a hard travel to get there. But when she eventually moved through the murky waters, and the murky waters became clear, she found a small temple of people who had been shunned. Little dragons, men and women with snakes, with snake tongues and scales, and those who swam in the waters like her, albeit with hands and feet that were scaled and snouts like the little dragons. She was looked at as a god once more. And while not happy with this, she found a group of people she could help. She found a way to not be alone while stuck here. And so for hundreds of years, she helped them. But then a terrible darkness befell the temple. Creatures who drank blood. They came and raided the temple. They killed the dragons. The Gyoxys tried to fight them off, but as someone who is not a fighter, as powerful as she was, she could kill swaths of them. But all of the stronger ones would simply evade her blows, and she did not have the stamina to fight. But thanks to her actions, the fires did not spread, and their attack was repelled. And she would like to believe that some escaped that day. she escaped as well. Years later, she would come back to see what, if any, had returned to the temple. I would only find more people had moved in, had come to find what they could take for their own. Angry and saddened by this, she tried to stop them and was labeled a monster. But there was an individual who did save them, who stopped these people, as it has a painting of them. This man was someone who he stopped the other individuals and he started speaking with her, able to speak her native tongue. And furthermore, able to speak in the languages of those that she once held dear, as she had picked up many, many languages. But those of the little dragons and those snake individuals, it made her happy to speak in a language that made them feel better about themselves, closer to something special. And since they were able to speak both of these, she could do nothing more than trust someone who had saved her, who could communicate with her, and who saw her as beautiful. He told her that those who once occupied these temples, these pyramids, these lands, were long gone. But that he would not leave her be. He would not see her alone. And if she was willing, he could allow her a chance to help others. As long as she would be willing to come back with him to a land that is far from these jungles, a place beyond the raging storm, but still within the bounds of Lunarvum, the land that she is in. With all of the ones that she had guarded before gone, she took him up on this offer and braved the storms, sticking close to the coast. And met him a beautiful city that had started to be built. It was simply a few villages with one large tower. This beautiful building. It was shining, shimmering, with a symbol. As you see the symbol painted on it. As Yokurai, you recognize this symbol as the Shinkichi family crest.
Okay. Alright.
This small village and the one large, almost the size of one of the pyramids or temples she had witnessed before, made her wary, but happy to see that people were not just dying around her, but had started to rebuild. This darkness hadn't taken everyone. And she found this man, waiting at the edge of the water. As he wished to go with her to a set of islands. And he pointed the way to a beautiful set of islands in the storm, but far enough away that she could feel safe to some degree, that those creatures would not find her or would not leave to come and kill her, especially with her new friend. And it is at this point that their name is given. They exchange names.
While you're getting that name, I'm going to play just go let my dogs in.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn.
She is not an important character, but she is very old. Yeah.
I'm gonna set up the war room camera real quick, because
to see, yeah.
Yeah, to see the pictures.
Or
rather, I set it up already. When you started posting pictures before, I was like, so I do need it. I remember this art. By the way, hope y'all been enjoying the cats. Very cute.
Apologies, I am back.
No, you're fine.
Also, a lot of information in this. Like a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, she's
can-
old.
Yeah. For instance, magic storm near a desert. Hmm.
Damn it, if only like some people were near the desert.
Muffle.
I'm sure that sigil means nothing. Like that family crest. I'm sure that won't come back up.
Oh man, I can't
Well,
explain it in the camp.
you're muffled.
You're muffled.
You're muffled.
Okay.
Hey, so that was kind of funny because of the joke I was gonna make. I was like, man, I can't wait to use this info in the camp. Wait, Sevi, what are you doing with that chloroform? Sorry. Just the next day, it's like, what was I doing?
What's wrong? As we exchange their name.
Look at that old name.
And she gives her name. Do. As you see yet another painting, this one of them, you see this one of them kind of making contact in a much different way, almost as if there is seemingly supposed to be some foreshadowing here. You've read enough stories and heard enough of these to kind of pick up on what's happening here, but it also seems to just be a beautiful piece depicting some of what Gyoxys has seen. But there's definitely hints of love blooming, but with a foreshadowing kind of undertone.
And nothing ever went wrong.
You are getting to this motherfucker's first act of not first, one of the reasons why I hate them. Anyway, back into narrator mode. As he gives his name as Zakara Balbara of Shadow Song Keep. And he is looking for a place that he may bring people so they may be safe, so that they won't ever need to worry about the dangers of the mainland. And he wishes to bring his people there. Those of the Shadow Song. They are simply a group of people who they enjoy to work by night when problems are at their highest, and they give aid and breathe new life into the world. Gyoxys was entranced by this man's words, and by his smile. His golden eyes were something that were beautiful, especially when they glowed at night. And so she helped him. She helped bring him to a unnamed collection of islands. And when she could not explore the islands with him, when the storms caused the seas to be choppy, he would simply hold her at the shore as long as he could before he had to go in. He never seemed bothered by her cold skin. He never seemed bothered by being wet and holding her. He would simply hold her tenderly and keep her company. He would explore these islands and would talk with her about all of the amazing things that are on it. And she would explore the islands herself, but expressed a feeling of dread, perhaps just being the storm and the creatures within it, but feeling that something else was in those waters. She always felt watched. She always felt as if she was prey to some elder power. But aside from this feeling of dread, the land was beautiful, and the rain was something that she could look at and feel happy about. But she did miss seeing the moon and the sun. But all of her fears were pushed aside with her love. This was the first time Gyoxys ever fell in love. Not understanding this emotion quickly building inside her. As this man founded the island of Tokushima.
Son of a bitch.
And he brought his people here. He left Gyoxys for months as they returned back to the mainland. As she waited excitedly, moving through the waters, avoiding the storm, but simply feeling lighter being away from those islands. The storm, its distance from her is something she relished. Now not being afraid to cross this area of the waters, as she now understood how dark the feeling of dread could get. the mild inconvenience, the uncertainty did not bother her anymore. So months she waited. And one night, a boat with 100 individuals, all seemingly very similar to this man, to Zakara. Yeah. They all possessed glowing eyes. All of them. When she asked him how this could be, thinking that his were so beautiful, to see that so many had this trait, perhaps she had just never seen it before. He assured her that they were all his family, and he had brought all of them here so he could start anew. Howdy.
Motherfucker, am I reading the fucking origins of the Cult of the Storm right now, Sebi?
Not exactly. Yes and no. You'll see in a sec. As he brought these 100 individuals here, he and Gyoxys began to fall deeper and deeper in love. And yet again, she yearned for the ability to walk on land. But instead of doing it for wanderlust, instead of doing it to be able to help people, it was for yet another selfish desire. For love. Zakara Belbara went and had these 100 people live and work, and create a glorious castle high up on the mountains. At the highest point, it would take many years. And by this point, the small village and grand tower had grown into a city. The tower was no more visible, swallowed up by a glorious set of connecting almost palaces. All of them, rather than spreading out, spreading upward. The city itself began to cover the entirety of the shore. And Gyoxys and her love, they had become this myth, seldom ever heard of, but still only something whispered at night. As when Zakara was done, he asked her to if she loves him, to come to the city and help usher in a grand expansion to bring the beauty of the land they had made to the shore so they may help more people. And confused, but trusting her love, seeing how he had brought more people whose eyes did not glow, people who needed somewhere to stay, people who had nowhere else to go, to Tokushinma, as the castle had been built, and now even a small village. She saw nothing wrong in going to help him. This would be one of the moments she regretted the most, as the narrator breaks their narration for this. They break character, speaking as Gyoxys for that line. As Gyoxys watched as the village that had turned to a city, the glow of fire rippled across the waters one night as she was watching it burning. The construction of the glorious palaces, they were crumbling. Boats were on fire. There was the sound of people screaming, of creatures like the ones she had fought so long ago, chasing others down. And what's worse, the sound of laughter and crying could not be distinguished. As standing on the water, magic evident, pouring off of him, he walked towards Gyoxys as she could only watch in horror. His only words, "We bring them salvation." A chant to be immortal. A chance to live under a night sky. And if they would come to Tokushinma, a place that, well, they can live their lives freely, unbothered by the sun. Don't you trust me, my love? And Yoprai, that is the last part that you were able to get to.
Son of a bitch.
You are halfway through this story. Well, I say halfway through. You probably have another hour of reading it left.
Fuck. Sebi, as someone who grew up on that island, did I ever hear any of this?
Gyoxys or a sea serpent? That's a history check, friend.
Or like a mass murder?
A mass murder? That happened on Okayama. That is also a history check.
Alright, well here's Gyoxys. 7.
7? Sea serpent? Nah, man. I mean, many people would mistake that for like a plesiosaur or something like that.
Son of a bitch. So what about the mass murder? Can I make a separate check for that?
Yep.
10.
10? Yes. Your mother mentioned it one time, and the only reason why you remember it, like, it's one of those things where it's like you have no idea why this memory, it's like one of those things that's like you remember and you don't know why, like a random fact from history. It's something your mother brought up. It is something she brought up when she was cleaning her old sword. Her beautiful sword, but her, her sword that she seldom ever uses nowadays.
Oh.
She was cleaning it, and a lick of fire came off of the blade. As she closed it, and kind of musing, it was like, that was today, wasn't it? As she would have then went kind of like either you would ask or she would call you over to like tell you about in Okayama there's a festival every year recounting the day that they fought off a vampire attack. It was the day that Okayama nearly burnt to the ground.
Okayama or Tokushinma?
Okayama. So not Tokushinma. Okayama is the one that almost got burnt to the ground.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Tokushinma is fucking try setting that thing ablaze.
Dare you?
I dare you. I dare you to try. The rain. If you can find a single piece of dry wood on that whole fucking rock, all right, I'll give you anything you want. Single piece of dry wood.
So obviously there's a lot to this because like there's so much contained here, but that last bit, I am reading about some of the shit that would eventually turn into the Cult of Storms. I'm not wrong, am I? Like,
you are reading. Apparently, this motherfucker brought the first people to Tokushinma, and is the one who this son of a bitch, it happens to be the one that founded it. But once again, with your knowledge of vampires, it's not a lot, but it's enough to realize he's a fucking vampire.
Yeah, he was stockpiling his goddamn food.
Yeah, like the people he brought there were likely also vampires, but when she then talks about the other people that were brought there, it's like, oh,
Yeah, those are food. That was food.
Those were food. That was food. That's food and labor.
Ooh, okay, so my home was founded as a fucking vampire haven.
Yep, but that changed at some point. So
Man,
the
I
people
wondered
who
almost like we had maybe a record of strong people from this island.
Yeah, it's weird. It's also, it's almost like the people who were food probably
Didn't want to be food.
Probably didn't want to be food, and would eventually come to become the Cult of the Storm. It's almost like the cult. It's almost like the cult was probably founded not on bad premises, but really turned bad. Really turned bad.
Fuck me. Okay.
Yeah.
And everything got intense.
Yeah. So Tokushinma was created by vampires for vampires. It was not created, founded by vampires for vampires.
But it's the same reason my fucking friend is there, because it's like the sun's never gonna shine.
Yep. So
also,
Tokushinma,
the cold never bothered him. Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't bother someone who's fucking dead.
Yep. He's able to hold her even though she's wet and cold, and it never bothered him. Weird. It's definitely a thing that it's like, once again, you would start reading this and go, okay, all right, and then all of a sudden it's like, click. Oh no.
Shit.
Shit. Yeah. The moment that the glowing eyes comes into play, if you didn't pick it up by then, it's like a click. Yeah, it was founded by vampires for vampires. However, he went to Okayama, which you now know the Shinkichi family crest was like on. They were the founders of Okayama. Yeah. But yeah.
Fucking Debbie, you made me a noble. What the fuck, man?
What, man? What's up, bud? What's up, friend?
I was like, I'm just a warrior who, nothing
you are
much.
Just a warrior.
Yeah, sure, buddy. We'll see how long anyone believes that.
Listen, you have a fancy name.
This is
This is not noble. This is supposed to be mercenary. What the fuck?
But yes.
Is that all? Is that everything?
It is all of the retelling, but there might be some bits here of this conversation.
Fuck.
If you have to go, though, please. I mean,
I can stick around for a moment.
But yes,
this reframes a lot about not just Tokushinma, but that area in general.
Yep.
Because Dragon knows some meta knowledge back when Sibi was a lot more willing just to part with that shit in the early days of the campaign. So when she's like, oh, around the islands, I feel like the eyes of a predator. Yeah, I have a fucking sinking feeling I know who that was.
Yes. It is also something that while you do not realize, it puts into perspective why your master, anytime you guys went out in the water, like basically not on solid ground, but in the water, you know what's there. And you also remember from conversation with your childhood friend, a sinking feeling what that might have been.
Fucking Demogorgon.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. Okay, fucking. Can't wait to learn about how cool Gyoxys is, much more cool Gyoxys is, because Gyoxys is really cool. Can't wait to find out how they died. Fascinating feelings. I know that's where this is going.
All right, how about I give you spoiler alert? They are not dead.
Oh, fun.
They said that earlier.
They're not dead.
Whew.
Oh, I don't think I heard that part. Sorry. Dogs were causing a bit of a stir.
No, you're fine. Gyoxys is a little spoiler alert. Gyoxys is not dead.
Thank God.
You will learn what happened to them though at the end of this tale.
They're probably not in a great place.
You can imagine, yeah. But yes.
All right, so Yui, Leon, Tiki. I think I found our next ally against Drek.
Huh?
So I'm gonna be real. Zakara Belabara.
Die.
This motherfucker is one of the motherfuckers that I'm like, you are one of the biggest pieces of shit ever.
And you will. He's still alive, unfortunately.
I genuinely, as the GM, hate this person for the things that he's done, and this story only dictates two of the things that he has done.
Son of a bitch. Okay, that seriously, I don't even know about these. I know about like a half of a terrible thing he's done. I think.
The terrible thing being the massacre of the massacre of Okayama. And it's not even just the massacre. You'll learn in the next part that it wasn't just a massacre. It gets worse.
Some blood ritual, I'm sure.
I wish it was that sophisticated. I wish.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's less sophisticated and supernatural and more just
asshole.
Like war crime, asshole. Not even war crime. We're talking, you get on the FBI most wanted, type shit. Bad person. Gyoxys, however, is a little gullible. But
yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, she's incredibly powerful and is very, very.
She was very easy to fall in love, or she was quick to fall in love, rather.
It was a strange feeling for her. Weird that it never happened in thousands of years, but she also didn't stay close to people. It's weird that it never happened in thousands of years.
Weird. It's almost like she's a big sea snake.
Yeah, it's almost like human and sea snake. It's not your usual pairing. However, yeah.
Vampire though.
Vampire though. I mean, hey.
Like, does this shit predate Dracula?
She predates Dracula. He does not, and you can tell in the story at what point Dracula started. Because she talks about, trying to save people who would leave, and she couldn't save them all. And yeah.
Oh, and she fucking brought the vampires to the few she saved.
Those people she saved and brought them back to the mainland, but she could not take them outside of the continent. One, she's too powerful. Two, the magical storms surrounding the entirety of the continent it's too much magic for her to handle. Yeah, like for somebody like her who is so magically sensitive on top of being too powerful to leave, it'd fucking kill her. It was killing her when she was just saving people. She is too magically sensitive, which lets you know the more magically sensitive you are, and the more powerful you are. Yeah, like weak people can leave the continent. The stronger you are, the harder it is.
Interesting. That's okay. All right. Well.
Oh yeah.
Very eliminating in ways I didn't expect. Stevie, were you like, you don't even know what you're in for?
Oh, with what? With when?
When I picked up this fucking book about the Chronicles of Gyoxys, I was sitting there waiting. Son of a bitch.
I was sitting there waiting because I was like, the Chronicles of Gyoxys, I was looking at this and like, yep, this here is somebody who I know is alive, and this is simply their tale. Where they are now, what's going on with them now, it's hard to say, but I know that they're alive and I know what's going on with them. The only thing is that this tale is most parts true, some parts of it are more bent. But there's certainly most of it is true, but there are some parts of it that are kind of bent a little bit for the sake of the story.
Wait a minute, who wrote this book?
The painter. The one who made the person who did the scroll was the person who painted these things. It was not her.
No, her. Not
she
him.
Can't. Not him. Someone else. Meaning that there's someone else who knows the tale, whether they're still alive or not. And
where the fuck, if I see Mishu's signature on this, I'm gonna be mad.
Oh god, Mishu, a painter. I'd love to see the day.
Hmm.
But I will give no more spoilers. You will have to finish reading this. But yes, you know now some names. You know the name of a faction, Shadow Song Keep.
Know some background details that I maybe
Yep.
I know some formative details is the best way to say it, I think.
Yep. And you have some information that might put other things into context. But yeah, I believe that is it. That is all, folks. And by folks, I mean whoever's watching back is probably me and probably you, Dragon.
Yeah, probably. All right, Shiro, we have a vampire we need to kill.
What else is new? Alright, I'm gonna put the cats back on the screen for a moment.
Surprisingly, it's not blood color.
Oh,
Please kill this man.
We're gonna... Yeah, that dude needs to die. Needs to be murdered.
We haven't even heard all the terrible things he's done.
Oh, I haven't heard almost any of the terrible things he's done. I was gone for most of this. I went down and got McDonald's. Mom brought home Donald's.
He's built, bitch, Hero.
Mom brought home Donald's. I enjoyed talking with my brothers and my sister-in-law, and you know, I was chilling, and I came up and Sebi was like, "All right," and that's the end of the story, and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I can't. Are you allowed to what now?
Am I allowed to tell him? So he's like, you were okay with him just being... Okay, Shiro. Shiro, he founded my home island.
Okay, I picked that up from your guys' talks.
Okay, cool. My home was a fucking vampire feeding ground.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A haven. And he also manipulated this kind snack.
Yep.
Wait, the snack wasn't evil? I thought the snack was Gyoxys.
No, the snack is actually a very good person.
Yep, Gyoxys is a sea serpent, and she is really nice.
She got
Hold on, I'm
manipulated.
putting her back on the screen. Hold on. Get out of here, cats. Pretty sea serpent.
Debbie, no.
Yes, Gyoxys is not evil. Gyoxys is in fact very, very kind, and even witnessing war, she only looked at it and thought, "This reminds me of the elemental of the elements."
Also, that one. Fucking. I almost forgot about the elemental constellation.
She seems lovely.
Glacier. Does the name Gyoxys mean anything to you?
Yes, it does. In fact.
God damn it.
Glacier, in fact, Gyoxys is young to Glacier.
God damn it.
Like, Glacier is older than Gyoxys by a bit. Glacier waged war while Gyoxys was a baby.
Alright, Glacier, we've someone we need to kill.
Alright.
Yo, you tell Glacier about all the. Here's the thing. Finish reading this scroll, then tell Glacier. You want Glacier on your side? Give Glacier this motherfucker to kill. Have Glacier out when this motherfucker's around. Glacier might be a piece of garbage. Glacier is a war fucking criminal.
War criminal? Yeah.
Glacier's a war criminal. Put Glacier in front of this piece of garbage and be like, nah, I'll kill him.
Professionals have standards.
Exactly. It's like, nah.
Alright, on a scale of Miko Paran to Dracula, like, where he's sitting?
This guy? Or Glacier?
The guy.
The guy?
Zachara.
Ah, man. I'm gonna be real. Zakara's on, like, I'd say he's worse than Dracula in some ways, but that's only because, but the thing is that Dracula is more, like, indiscriminate, widespreading, and, like...
That's fair. That's fair.
So here's the thing.
He's targeted.
If you look at early day Dracula compared to this guy's worse in, like,
I see.
every way. If you're looking at Dracula now, Dracula's very indiscriminate. It's not fair.
Zakara has kind of mostly pulled away from, like, the public eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if I'm okay to... If Yoparai's gonna tell us about this at some point...
Probably will,
then I will probably go through this
with this current cult.
Yeah, I will probably go through this and watch and, like, write stuff down, but right now I'm trying not to retain any information so that I don't start connecting puzzle pieces if we ever find any.
Understandable.
Because I tend to try to do that.
Yoparai, at some point tell these people about this man, so if they meet him, they know. No.
Yeah, there's an NPC walking around. By the way, I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm gonna stop the recording. Thank you for listening, whoever was listening.
Yeah. This